What's going on? Welcome back. In today's video, we are going to talk about MySQL Service, how to enumerate and exploit MySQL. So basically, this is part of TryHackMe as well, Network Services 2 room, and this is part of also COMPTIA Pentest plus Pathway. This is the last part of Network Services 2, comprising of task 8, 9, and 10, and we will be finishing with Network Services 2. So, task 8, we're going to answer the questions. Task 9 and 10, we're going to demonstrate that manually without the use of Metasploit like demonstrated in the tutorial here. And we're going to answer the questions too. So the first thing, understanding MySQL. I suppose that if you are into pen testing, you know what is MySQL, right? Now I'm going to hit to questions and answers and explain them while answering. So what type of software is MySQL? So basically, all of you know, guys, that MySQL is a relational database management system software. So the answer to that would be relational database management system. What do they mean by relational? It means that every table in the database relates to the other one, okay, using primary keys or using keys. So all of the tables in the database are connected and related using keys. That's why it's called Relational Database Management System. Okay, all the data are stored in tables and tables relate to each other. What language is MySQL based on? This is self-explanatory. MySQL. Hey, answer. Okay. What communication model does MySQL use? So basically, MySQL runs based on SQL, right? And you have the client and the server. So it's based on client connecting to the server. What is a common application of MySQL? So why do we use MySQL, by the way? MySQL or MySQL Server or PostgreSQL, we use that to host databases. So this is called backend database. What major social network uses MySQL as their backend database? This will require further research. So basically, if you do research, I'm not going to teach people how to do research. You're going to find that it is Facebook. Hint, who was involved in the Cambridge Analytica scandal? So if you Google that, you will find it is Facebook. Or without Googling, all of you know that the company which was victim to Cambridge Analytica scandal, it was Facebook. So now we are on to enumeration and exploiting. So, okay, without answering the questions, this is translation, okay. Now, so here we have the nmap scan. The first thing we do, we scan the targets. We have the scan for the services and the versions, aggressive scan, and the IP of the target. So we have 22 and we have 3306. So MySQL is running on 3306 port. And we have some info about the software running, the version 57.29, the version here, threads. So how do you go about enumerating and exploiting, by the way? So the first thing is to understand where MySQL is running. It's running on 3306. What is the version? 5729. Now, here we have two ways. So we have two ways here. We either go with brute force, we try to find what is the username and password to log in to MySQL, or the other way to have is to directly log into MySQL and start the exploitation. That is based on this scenario. In this scenario, we are given the username and the password to log in. Okay, so we can log in now to MySQL and start enumerating what's actually there. What are the databases? What are the tables? And how can we go from there? So this is based solely on the scenario, on the fact that you have got access to some credentials and you can log into MySQL. If you can't, and this is out of the scope of this tutorial, you can just try brute force, you can use Hydra, or you can see if this version is vulnerable. Let's see here. Search, exploit, MySQL. So we have many, right? So the current version we have is 5, go up, 5729. Let's go down. So MySQL here, let's see the 5s. So 5.7, there is no vulnerable version to 5.7. But actually, if it is 5.7, we can try the 6 here. So for example, this MySQL is of version 6.04. We can try this against the current one we are targeting. Why? Because the current one we are targeting is vulnerable in relative to this one. This is more recent. So the exploit here can work on previous versions. But here you have buffer overflow, denial of service. There is no privilege escalation or kind of limited access. Okay, so that's if in case if you don't have credentials and you don't want to brute force, you have got to find an exploit. Okay, now what if we have pair of credentials, root, password? What do we do? So we have got access. Now we log in. So here we type sudo MySQL-h for the host. Now I want to log into the database, right? All right. So here -h and here -u root. The username is root and password. And now we are logged in, as you can see. Now what's the first thing we do actually? We first see the MySQL variables, the version, the type of the MySQL, the type of the service running or the software running. So we do that with show variables like, and here we put double quotes, version, and again, percentage, double quotes, semicolon. You have error in your SQL syntax. Oh, it is the variables. Okay, right. So as you can see, we have the version, the protocol version, the MySQL version running. It's written in full here, and this running system underlying that, and we have the architecture, and the name is Linux. So that's how we see the version without relying on Nmap or Metasploit. And the next thing we see is show databases. What are the current databases there? We have information schema, MySQL, and sys. So what do we target here? We have database, right? So we're going to use MySQL. Now to list the tables, we type show tables. So how many tables we have? What are the tables? As you can see, these are the tables. What we're concerned about is the user table. So I always try to find what's actually in the user's table. So what do we do here? We type select everything from user. So we see here what we've got. We've got everything. We dumped everything, the user, the password, the hashes, sorry. So what you can see here, we have, let's check. This is not helpful, output. We're going to try to live with that. So we have a username, Carl, right? And as you can see, we have the password hash of this user. So basically, we can take the hash, this is the hash, right? And brute force Carl user and use these credentials in other services like the SSH, right? What else we can see here? Let's go up. We have root, right? And this is the password hash. Let's go up. We have this user, and this is the hash. And of course, let's go up, mysql.sys. And this is another user, this is the password. So here what we care about actually is the root hash and Carl hash. Okay, now that's the end objective of enumerating and exploiting MySQL. We want to find pair of credentials and then log into the MySQL database, enumerate the tables, the databases, the users, and find the corresponding hashes. So what's next? We can then copy this hash and let's split the tabs. Button. Okay. Right. So here, what do? We type echo or without double quotes into hash. Okay. Now we have the hash here. Now what's the next thing? We try to crack this hash with John Draper. John hash. No? Oh, okay. Let's see if we can find this without using a word list. So the password is doggy. So what we can do here, we can type sudo sh car at the host IP So the password is donkey. And we are logged in as car. So what we can also actually, let's split the tabs here to the left. And here say, let's crack the root one. So like this, echo root hash John root hash. Oh, actually we have the password. I forgot this. We already have the password of the root user, so we don't need to crack it. It's password. Now we cracked car. So that's how to do that manually. Okay. Now the scenario in TryHackMe, they have used Metasploit. So if we type MSF console, okay. So we can use a couple of MSF modules to do all the work we have done manually. And this is, of course, if speed is prioritized over learning in your case, right? If your speed is prioritized over learning, so you can just do the automatic method, the Metasploit. Say you have 100 targets and you want to just pen test every single target, you can't just go about and do that manually, right? You want to do that automatically. So here we type search, name MySQL, see what comes up. So the first thing we try to find is the version of MySQL. So here we have this module, generic query, sends a generic query to the MySQL server, which return two options, set password, we have it, password, our hosts, set username, root, and exploit. So we have got the version, as you can see here. This is the actual version. Now this is one module we can use, right? Okay, what else we can do here? As you can see, we have the SQL command, right? The SQL command here is select version. We can modify that For example, set SQL to be show databases. And if we run now, it's going to show us the databases, right? Now, if we say set SQL use MySQL exploit, now it has executed MySQL. Now, if I said set SQL show tables exploit, it's going to show me the tables. Nope, no database required. So MySQL didn't work. Set SQL use MySQL exploit. All right. Show tables exploit. Didn't work. So we can use limited number of commands here, or I'm wrong in some parts. So I've got the tables, the databases, and the version. Now, in order to dump the tables, for example, we can use other module. So let's go up and use schema dump. I guess we have it. Schema dump, MySQL schema dump. So we can use this module as well to dump more info. I don't know if you agree with me that, but I think the manual method actually is pretty quicker than this one. If you memorize the commands, of course. Set password root, set password, set username root, set our hosts, and exploit. So, as always, let's start out with a port scan so we know what port the service we are trying to attack is running on. What port is MySQL using? Most of the time it is 3306. Here for logging in completed, and here to exit. Okay, we're going to be using the MySQL SQL module. Search for, select, and list the options it needs. So here, what are what three options do we need to set in descending order? So we have to, I guess, descending order. I get to get back password, our hosts, and username. These two are set already. So here we type password, our hosts, username. Run the exploit. By default, it will test with the select module command. What result does this give you? So this is what we have got. It is this. Great, we know that our exploit is landing as planned. Let's try to gain some more ambitious info. Change the SQL option to show databases. How many databases are returned? Actually, we have done that. The number is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. And this is the enumeration that is laid out in this room. Of course, we have done more in the manual method, but we try to answer the questions here. Exploiting MySQL. Okay, first let's search for and select the MySQL schema dump. What we have done actually. What's the module full name? The module full name is this. Actually, it haven't finished. For some reason, this hasn't finished. Okay. Now you have done this a few times by now, so I will let you take it from here. Set the relevant options, run the exploit. What's the name of the last table that gets dumped? If you remember, the last table was, I'm going to revert back to my manual method here, it was user. This is the last table here. So this is the answer, I guess, that you will get from Metasploit. It should be the same. And if this is the same, the answer should be correct. No, this is not correct. The last table name. Let's get back. So the last table that gets dumped. Well, in the manual method, I can see that it's the only user table. Maybe if you run Metasploit here with this module, and an additional table will get dumped. So this is wrong, leave it here. Also, we have now dumped the tables and the column names of the whole database. But we can do one better, search for and select MySQL hash dump module. What's the module's full name? This is Metasploit exercise, man. Hash dump. But anyway, some people want us to answer the questions, so we answer them. Correct. Okay. Again, I will let you take it from here. Set the relevant options, run the exploit. What non-default user stands out to you? We have done this manually. The non-default user was Carl. Among the other users, it was Carl. So Carl here, we answer with Carl, the son of Rick Grimes, Walking Dead. Another user, and we have their password hash. This could be very interesting. Copy the hash string in full, like Bob hash, to a text file in your machine. What's the user hash combination string? It was car, and the password we have cracked was where was the password? So here it was doggy. Let's try that. No, hint. Remember to input the hash. I thought they're asking about the password. The hash was this one. Tell me this is correct. We're missing on something here. Why it's not correct? Why? Let me tell you why. Because we have missed these characters. Get back. Should be correct now. Okay. Now we need to crack the password. Let's try John the Ripper against it using John hash. What's the password? Doggy. And lastly, what's the contents of MySQL? Let's dump the content. So here we have an SSH running session. So ls cat MySQL txt. Come on. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, do you agree? This doesn't exist. Yes, doesn't exist actually. It's because of the lowercase. Okay, so this is the flag. And done. So that was about the answers. Now, of course, I do that before answering the questions. I want you to understand the process, then focus on answering the questions. Or my objective here is not to answer the questions. We are not in an exam, obviously. So this is the process, this is the methods. And let's see Metasploit hasn't finished or not. Not finished yet. I will leave you with that. And you can answer the last question. See the last table that is dumped from here, and that was about this. So, see you in the next video.